Hi, thanks for tuning in. I'm Andrea Clem, and you're watching Turn to the Stars. And today I'm going to be talking about the new moon we just experienced yesterday in the sign of Pisces. And that occurred at exactly 9:52 a.m., February 23rd, which was Sunday. And if that's Eastern Standard Time, Pacific time, it would have been at 6:52 a.m. And that was at 4 degrees in the sign of Pisces. And what's really interesting about this new moon is that Mercury retrograde was right beside it. And Mercury retrograde is taking place in the constellation or in the sign of Pisces, and is going to be going all the way back to 28 degrees of Aquarius by the end of its retrograde. But what's most important is this Pisces energy is an energy which is extremely sensitive. And because of the new moon cycles that we're in, there's a lot of things from the past that are resurfacing every month, and every month brings a new theme. And that's what this new moon is bringing, a new theme of sensitivity, of a depth of sensitivity. And also there's, you know, with Mercury retrograde right next to this new moon, it's caused some confusion, because with Mercury retrograde, we tend to be going back over things, revisiting things, reviewing things. And we realize things during this time that we didn't know about before. So it can cause confusion. That's my point about this new moon, is with Mercury retrograde right beside it, it widened the depth of the Pisces energy, which, as I said before, it can be boundaryless. And so there's a real need to really ground yourself and be present right where you're at. Mindfulness exercises can be really helpful during this month. This month, when I talk with astrology, you know, normally in the Gregorian calendar, we think about a month starting on the 1st and ending by the 31st. But with astrology, we consider a month beginning with the new moon. And so February 23rd, the new moon in Pisces, is bringing us that new theme of really concentrating and going deeper into understanding of areas where we may have suffered or felt lost or confused. But it also can expand the realization of what's real and what's not. Because Pisces is, again, it's a water sign, and it's ruled by the planet Neptune and Jupiter. So there's a depth. Neptune brings a depth of energy, meaning there's a deepness. And so I thought that it would be really helpful to talk about Neptune's energy with this new moon, because as we are nearing the end of the Pisces age, it's, you know, it is important for us all to understand where we're at in our evolution. And Neptune's energy is very powerful. It takes about 165 years to go all the way around the zodiac. And it's currently moving through the sign of Pisces. So we have a lot of Pisces energy this month. We have the sun, the moon, Mercury, Neptune, all in Pisces. So, you know, Neptune's going to be moving through the sign of Pisces until 2024. And it's very powerful. So I'd like to look at it, and I just want to say that it's the unbounded, unlimited, infinite spiritual potential that Pisces energy brings due to that Neptunian rulership. It is the collective unconscious. It exemplifies unconditional love. You know, it brings into focus the universe where there's no boundaries, there's no walls, there's no limits. I'm you, you're me. It's the dream. and it's the heart. And as I said before, Neptune rules Pisces, which is, you know, the last sign of the zodiac. So everything gets dumped into this sign, and it has to do with endings, completions, things being over and done. And so surrendering the ego is a lot of what Pisces energy presents. So it has to do with egolessness. It rules the crown chakra, and it opens us up, and it connects us to the infinite potential and the infinite spirit. Neptune is more about the heart, and its energy brings a depth of feeling. Its energy is beyond the intangible. It has a very high vibration, so it rules over artists, musicians, dancers, anyone who's working to bring the unspoken into the visual. And it does make, you know, Neptune can make things seem invisible. But what it does do is it resolves, it dissolves, and it makes the intangible the tangible. So it gives life, it gives expression to that which is beyond, which is immortal, that which is eternal. That's why it is unconditional love. It's also associated with, like I said earlier, egolessness. There's no ego, there's no self. This is the part of us that is connected to the beyond. It makes me think of the movie Toy Story, to infinity and beyond. And so Neptune it's vast. And I always thought of Neptune as sort of like Pandora's box, because there's such a depth to it. And once we get to the bottom, there is a depth of faith, a depth of understanding. So, but it also can have, at the very surface, bring a sense of confusion and chaos. There is an order and intelligence beyond human comprehension that comes with Neptune's energy. We experience chaos when we get confused and overwhelmed, and we can't figure out what our guidance is telling us, what God is telling us. And within that chaos, there's an unconscious that's very deep, that we don't see, that we can't grasp without our logical, rational, third dimensional egoic mind. So Neptune can drive us out of our mind. And naturally, Pisces is the ruler of the 12th house, which is an area of the chart, the last house. And, you know, it talks about the unseen, the unknown, that which is trapped, that which is unseen. And so it brings in these areas of mental institutions and hospitals, ashrams, mountaintops, caves, things that take us out, take us away from the mundane, earthly, daily reality. So there's nothing real about Neptune. It's the dream. It's where we're asleep. And in a birth chart, it rules where we are dreaming, where we're asleep, where we're naive, where we are innocent, where we have no boundaries, no rules, no laws. And so we get into disillusion. And it also shows where we can be hurt. And disillusionment is the hardest human experience. And what I thought was true is not true. It melts our reality. It can bring some very difficult experiences through which we learn about suffering. And it can make us completely shut down wherever Neptune is. And it can cause us to want to run away and hide, and to try to numb ourselves with drugs or alcohol or other addictive, escapist type of behaviors. So wherever Neptune is only your connection to your infinite potential, but it is also your desire to escape. So you have to work with it. And it's really good to know where Neptune is in your birth chart, because it's where we naively and innocently go with no boundaries and no limits and no issues, and then we get hurt. And then the after result is that we close off, we shut up, and we get paranoid and can even get neurotic. And then fear is the result of this disillusionment. So Neptune is the place, wherever it is in our chart, where we go out innocently and we can get hurt, and then we retreat, and then we can become narcissistic and self-centered. And then we tell ourselves, I'm going to be very careful. I'm never going to get hurt again because that hurt too much. But then as you mature, as you grow in your spiritual nature and your conscious self-awareness, you learn to defy that fear. You learn to overcome that fear. You learn to resolve that fear. You learn to understand where that fear is coming from. And you have to say, I'm no longer innocent. I'm no longer naive, but I need to know more about this energy influence. So it's really important in a birth chart to look where Neptune is and see what sign it's in, because Neptune is what is operating, and the sign it is in is how it's going to operate. And it also shows us where we're connected to the whole of the unconscious. It can also show where deep healing processes are needed, but it can also show where fame and fortune can come. And Neptune can also reflect where you can become famous, and famous, you know, the house that Neptune in and the aspects to it can show perhaps where you become an icon or a symbol for everyone, and because everyone can relate to what you've gone through, to the depth of the experiences that you've had. So wherever Pisces falls in your chart is good to also understand, or the house that's ruled by Pisces. And it's a place where we want to look to understand Pisces energy. So this new moon that's occurring in Pisces, wherever Pisces is in your chart is where this theme, where this new start, or this concentration of very deep and sensitive energy is being accessed this month. And the full moon is on March 9th, and that's in Virgo. So this is very much a month of discernment, of really just sitting and taking a mental respite while Mercury is retrograde, which is also until March 9th. So we have the full moon on March 9th in Virgo, and we also have Mercury retrograde ending on March 9th. So that's going to be a very, just magnified day. With that full moon in Virgo, we're going to be processing a lot, and definitely processing all the information and the reviews and the revisitations that we did mentally while Mercury was retrograde. And one thing I want to say about Mercury retrograde in Pisces is that Mercury is the mind, the logic and reason, and it's, it brings us the messages, the intuitive messages, the mental messages, but Pisces brings us vision, and it brings sensitivity, and it brings depth. So it makes it very hard for the mind to operate in the sign of Pisces, because Pisces wants us to dream. It wants us to just have no limitation. And but it also brings up the topic of boundaries. And because this is a mutable sign, and so it doesn't really know about boundaries. So it's something that Pisces energy has to learn. So you want to be aware that this could be a month where you do unconsciously bringing up some areas where you have suffered, and areas where you're not really clear. And one of the great things, though, about this new moon is that it promises us that we will be able to access some past patterns of activity where there's a change of pattern being brought to your attention that's necessary, but it also can help us to really find a sense of fulfillment by looking at how we can achieve a sense of security, a sense, where we need to nurture in our lives. And so this is a really a month where we just really need to stay grounded and take our time, rest when you need to rest, because Pisces is not a physical sign. It does cause a lot of emotion, and an emotion can really just wear us out. So pay attention to what your body's telling you and take care of it. And that's also one of the things that this new moon promises. So if you are interested in finding more about your astrology and where Neptune is in your chart, or where this new moon is, or where Mercury retrograde is occurring, or learn about some of the patterns that are being brought up at this time in our evolution, if these are if these are things that are of interest to you, you can, contact me at turntothestars.com. And I do want to talk about something new that I've just started in 2020, which is I'm offering an annual subscription, which gives you the ability to have 6 hours of astrology consultations or shamanic healing sessions. And so you can use that 6 hours in any way that you please. It's basically 6 hours working with me at uncovering some of these really important topics and areas where we're having to understand about our life's journey. So I want to say thank you to all of you for watching Turn to the Stars and all of your support. And I look forward to talking to you soon. And just want to say, be in touch and turn to the stars, and you'll find your answers there. Thank you for tuning in.